Welcome to the Influential Figures Podcast. It's great to have you here. We're interviewing local leaders and giving you the inside look on kindness. And now, we proudly present today's episode. So, tell me about Mount Hope. Like, what services do you guys offer?
So Mount Hope is a Congregational church. The Congregational church started in 1561 with John Calvin. We ultimately came to America in 1621. Most people call them pilgrims, but that's just what they did. They were travelers. Pilgrim means to travel. And who they actually were a group of Congregationalists trying to escape religious persecution. And so they came to America and found that freedom.
Alrighty.
So we offer services, of course, Sunday mornings, Wednesday nights. We also offer Bible studies Tuesday, Wednesday, during the day, during the night, all kinds of times. And we also offer rental space. And we have lots of people who rent space here. But we are more prone to lean on nonprofits before profits. And so we love to be of service to local nonprofit agencies.
Yeah, I know. Definitely, we are one of them. Every month we have our Friends in the Kitchen here, and it is phenomenal.
And we love it.
So what is one of the things that makes you inspired to be your best self?
So for me, I'm a pastor, so the easy answer is Jesus. And while that is 100% true, I also want you to know that my passion for him goes beyond just the cheesy Sunday school answer. Like, that's the easy way to go. It's Jesus. Of course it is. But it's also, my family, my upbringing. It's the things that I've experienced in life. It's wanting to see others become more passionate about Jesus than they were when they first arrived. So that all of that inspires me. Inspires me to be my best self, because I want to be the best version of me that others can see. The best version of me when others can't see also. It's not like I put on a mask and play a game in front of people. But I always want to be striving to be better.
All right. So what would you say your favorite act of kindness is, and why?
Wow. Before we moved to this area, I would have easily told you my favorite act of kindness is helping the homeless. Where we moved from in Virginia Beach, there were homeless everywhere. And it was easy to find them and help them, and here, because it's a lot colder, it's a little bit harder to find the homeless. Generally, they're called the hidden homeless. And so that's why we work with a bunch of different nonprofits doing different things so that we can be mobilized through them.
So what is that, like, your favorite one now too?
Yes. It just looks differently right now.
Okay.
We're working on a few different ideas of how we can do a better job of helping the homeless locally. There's an organization called Livonia Cares. We work with them as well. And the hope is that we will be able to partner together with other area churches and offer a homeless shelter throughout the whole winter. And so the idea would be that every church takes a week. And maybe, there are enough churches that you only take 1 week. Maybe there aren't, and, some churches choose to take 2 weeks. But the idea is, I've worked with a lot of shelters, and I understand how they operate, what needs to be done. And when I first moved here, that first winter, it was cold, but it wasn't like this year. Like, it wasn't bitter cold. And I remember going to a Livonia Cares meeting and finding out that there were 2 homeless people who had died over the weekend because they froze. And I couldn't believe that there were no winter shelters in this area that would be able to house the homeless, at least on the coldest nights. That really broke my heart.
Yeah.
Really broke my heart. And probably my second favorite is working with kids and adults with special needs. We had an awesome ministry at our last church. One of my favorite guys, his name was Ski. I got to baptize Ski. Ski was a big guy. He wasn't able to walk. He was in a wheelchair. And our oldest son helped me carry him into the baptismal. And when we baptized him, the smile on his face, just so much joy. And I knew he loved God, but it was true joy. And somebody snapped a picture of us afterwards, and I will never forget that. He's my man.
So, if you could have a billboard with anything on it, like anything in the world, what would it say and why?
That's an interesting question. I think it would depend on wording, would depend on where I was, where the billboard would be. And I think it would probably revolve around the idea of hope. I know that's cheesy, considering this is Mount Hope Congregational Church, but the idea of hope is one of the least found emotions in people today. And by that I mean, depression, anxiety are running rampant, and people are in desperate need of hope, and they don't know how to find it. So I think it would probably revolve around the idea of hope. Need some hope? ? Website, QR code, something easy enough that they can connect with. And I know there have been many times where I've been in my car driving, tears streaming down my face because I'm just so broken, and realize that I need more hope. Mm-hmm. And so I would hope it would connect with other people like that as well.
So, have you ever seen if you're driving down, let's say you're leaving Michigan, have you seen those passit.on.org billboards? They say something like, give thanks this Christmas or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
And it's just pass it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what inspired me to come up with that question. I saw it and I'm like, if I put something on there, what would it say?
That's cool.
Now, that's what inspired me to write that question.
I like that. It's a good question. Because billboards are so small. I mean, they're giant, but they're so small.
Yeah.
And so you gotta, You got to streamline what it says.
Especially something to like to make it catchy so they remember it on their drive to wherever they're going.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna remember that.
Like you could just put got hope, but that just reminds me of got milk. And
When you said that, the got milk font popped up in my
yeah, and so I wouldn't want that.
yeah.
But need hope, seeking hope, want some hope.
So, are there any roadblocks you've come across while being the pastor here at Mount Hope? And like, if so, what were they? How'd you get over them, etc.?
So, roadblocks, um, I don't think I've found roadblocks. Maybe a lane closure. So we just had to go around. Um, my perspective is in ministry, if you have the opportunity to cause less anxiety and anxious thoughts, worry, fear, because of change, do that. That doesn't mean we haven't changed things. We've just come about it in a slow maneuver. And so roadblocks, I think it's about leadership and how you view it yourself. One of the most common things you hear is that's how we've always done it. And I will tell you, when I hear that, I've had to learn to control my instinct, because my instinct is we're changing that immediately. If that's how you've always done it, guess what? It needs to stop. This church is 136 years old. There are a lot of, well, that's how we've always done it. They had one pastor here for 37 years. There's a lot of, well, that's not how Steve did it, or that's how we've always done it, because of the former pastor. And so I don't view that phrase as a roadblock. A lot of people will. What I view it as is a lane closure that, okay, now we've got to get around it, and we've got to do it well enough that they see the benefit outweighing the pain of the change. And so that's an important idea when it comes to change.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely. I feel inspired now. That's all I've been getting at my church, because I feel like I'm a change maker. So I just go in there, and then it'll be like peaceful, and then I get in there, everything's disrupted. I'll be like, I want to change that. I want to change that. And all I've been getting at my church is, oh, this is the way we've always done it. Everyone's gonna have to learn new stuff. I'm like, learning's good.
Yes.
Like, if you learn how to use different accounting software, that's good. If you get another job and they use it,
Yep.
like brownie points.
Yep.
So.
And it might even help you get another job.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to making change, there are 5 different types of change agents, and an initiator is what you're talking about. Like you see a change, let's bring change. Then there are the early adopters. I'm an initiator, but I operate as an early adopter, because early adopters see the need for the change and then take that into consideration as they then gather the buy-in of other early adopters. And once those early adopters see the need for it, let's do it. And now it's not just you saying, well, this has got to change. I've learned that the hard way, just so you know. And then you've got middle adopters. And middle adopters are the people that need to see it as a success, and they'll buy in right away. They just got to see that it is good, and then they're in. Then you have late adopters. They want a bit more information and to analyze it a little bit more. And so they will catch on, but it takes a minute. And then you've got the non-adopters. Those are the people that will see the change, see the success of the change, see everybody else being a part of the change, and be like, nah, I kind of liked it the way it was. We're seeing that here in our Halloween event that we call Pumpkin Palooza. So the first year we had it, the first year I was here, we didn't have it. I had to go back to Virginia to perform a wedding, and so we didn't have it that year. So the next year, I introduced the idea. They had done a trunk or treat kind of thing here before, and I was like, listen, we're gonna do the trunk or treat, but we're gonna kick it up a notch. Like, we got to kick it up a notch. Yeah. And so we did, and so we had probably around 500 people at the first one, which was great. It was a great turnout. Blew expectations away from a lot of people. The second year, we did it a little bit bigger, so we kicked it up a notch again. And instead of having just one spooky walkthrough, we had 2 spooky walkthroughs. We had a food truck, and we had 2 inflatables versus our own inflatable, which is very tiny, and a rented one. And we had about 700 people here that time. So they're seeing the buy-in. They're understanding, okay, yeah, okay. That first year we had like 10 trunks and maybe 3 vendors. The next year we had 13 trunks and maybe 4 vendors, excluding the food truck. And then last year, we kept it at the level that we did with the 2 rented inflatables, the 2 spooky walkthroughs. We had a food truck. We had 7 different vendors, and we had 23 trunks. And 1,700 people showed up.
Wow.
That was amazing. That is when the late adopters adopted. They saw it. There was one lady who came just to walk around to make sure I wasn't fudging things. To make sure I wasn't, just, blowing things out of proportion. And I was like, awesome. Come on. You'll see I'm not.
Yeah.
And so the idea there is that we understand the need for change before we go ahead and even begin to make the changes. Mm-hmm. You want to get buy-in. And so that was a long diatribe. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, perfect. So, honestly, was the last year of Pumpkin Palooza the one that I went to?
Yeah, that was the one you were at. Yeah.
And I know, do you think, or how many, or what percent of people do you think that the Metro Parent article brought in?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Nobody referenced it to me. They actually didn't even contact us about that article. We had nothing to do with the article. I read it. It was very generalized. they kind of used us as the face of the article, but the article wasn't just exclusive about us. It talked about a few others also. Um, I wish they would have talked to us. I would have
Yeah.
loved that.
I mean, I'm gonna say this like I've had so many articles written about me, but the articles that I've been mentioned in, people have at least been like, "Hey, we're just we're writing this about you, and then it's gonna go out in a few days."
They've let you know.
Yeah. So I think they need to change.
Yeah, I I only knew about it because I was on Facebook. Somebody they tagged us in their main post about it, and that's how we found out.
Hmm.
No contact, no one wanted a statement or anything. We just kind of we're like, okay, well, at least it's good.
Yeah. And at least it happened at this one.
Yeah,
Because I mean, if I feel like if they did it for the previous years, then it would have been like, well, yeah, it's a trunk or treat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we
But
had so our goal the first year was 500. Our goal the second year was like 750. Um, our goal this year was 1,000 people. That was our goal. Now, I mean, you can't predetermine that. It's
yeah,
just a matter of, you know, doing the back end work, trying to get the information out there. Um, and so it it wasn't all that, you know, publicized well. We ended up boosting a post on Eventbrite and Facebook the last 4 days before the event. That worked better for us than the previous years where we promoted it for a month. We used the same budget as we did for a month versus 4 days. 4 days gave us like 85,000 clicks. In a month, it was a lot less because it was a lot less money per day.
yeah,
And so we kind of learned there. Oh, okay, let's 4 day push right before the event is better. We had all of our 1,000 tickets registered for, and it's not like our Easter event called Eggaroo. We we check people in. This is so much bigger that it would be very hard to do that.
yeah.
But we'll see what some people come up with next year.
Hmm.
See how it continues to evolve and adapt.
2 questions left. So, in your opinion, why should everyone choose kindness?
So for me, I'm going to say everyone should choose kindness because Jesus was kind. Jesus is kindness. Again, that's the easy Sunday school answer. I think people should choose kindness because it's easier to be kind than it is to be angry and upset and anxious or nervous. It's easier. It's easier. You know, one of the weird things I learned early on in life is that it takes less muscles to smile than it does frown. Okay, now I say I have RGF. I have resting Grinch face. And that's simply because of the way my jaw is aligned. It doesn't reflect what is going on inside of me. And so I really do think it is easier to be kind. Like I say all the time, it's easier to love others for who they are than to remember what I don't like about every single different person and have to worry about how is that going to impede my life, which it's not. And it's just so much easier to be kind or to love. And I think that's exactly what Jesus told us. You know, he told us to love God first and foremost with everything that you are. And then love others as you love yourself, which means you got to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to show kindness or to love is, for me, very, very simple. It's a very simple mindset. And I try to promote that all the time.
So, last question. And this, I was trying to think of more like thought-provoking questions, and I feel like I kind of got it. So, if you could choose any historical figure to have dinner with, who would it be, why, and what do you think their favorite act of kindness is?
So if I'm going way back, it would be Moses. If I'm going this half or this side of the turnover in dating, it would be Jesus. If I'm going a more modern person, it would be my favorite author, Henry Newen, who is just amazing. You would love him. And his favorite act of kindness was helping adults with special needs. He gave up everything. He was a tenured Harvard professor in religion. He was a Catholic monk, and he gave it all up to work at L'Arche in Toronto, I believe it was, as an aide. And he just talks about how much that changed his life. And so I think that would be one of the more modern people. And what was the second half of that last part of the question? How would they show kindness?
Or like, what do you think their favorite act of kindness would be?
Yeah. And he wrote about some of the people he was an aide for after they passed, and you could just feel the connection and understanding, and that was just, so inspiring, but also what I needed at the time. At the last church, we had a fairly large ministry, and I am so desperate to start one here. It's not to put it into sociology terms, it's a demographic we're not reaching, but if we want to reach all people where they are for who they are, let's go. Let's do this. So yeah, I think that would be who Henry Newen is. An amazing man.
Thank you to Pastor Jeff for joining us in this episode of Influential Figures. If you or someone you know wants to be on our podcast, go to sharekindnessproject.org/contact to reach out and let us know. To learn more about Mount Hope, visit mounthope.com or search Mount Hope Congregational Church on Facebook. We'll see you next time.